Well, happy Tuesday to you, man.
To you as well.
You got an early one.
Yeah, I was going to say a little earlier than normal, but...
The normal life.
Yeah.
Tom, are you flying domestic or international this morning?
International, U.S.
And with which airline?
United.
Awesome. And just before we get too far, you have your passport on hand?
Yes, I do.
Good.
I am going to I double check this morning.
Just
but
good to make sure,
I
right?
appreciate the...
No
you can never look at it too many times,
I
right?
know. I know how that
Yes,
goes.
yeah.
Brilliant.
All good.
Awesome.
Passport, wallet, phone.
Check. All you need is to get there and realize, oh darn.
Yeah, no kidding, eh?
Where are your travels taking you this morning?
Heading to Wichita.
Ooh, that's a spot I don't hear of very often.
Yeah, work.
This is not your first time there then.
No, not my first time there.
Yesterday I heard of another state I don't often hear from when I picked someone from there, Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, hey,
Yeah, that's not a common one either, is
no. It's like, there's some that just seem to get eclipsed, right? In the midst of the other ones which are more prominent. Maybe prominent for other reasons, you know, like destinations or...
it? Yeah, totally. I mean, Texas and Houston, huge one from here, right?
Right, exactly.
Work.
Los Angeles, California,
Yep.
Chicago. Yeah, those
Yep.
are some prominent ones there.
Yeah, I'm actually going into Wichita for 2 days, meeting one of our clients is down there, and then driving the 2 hours south to Bartlesville, Oklahoma.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
As if it doesn't get more remote, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Huh.
It's but Bartlesville's funny. It's an interesting little town that
Okay.
no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
But it's actually quite an important one.
Okay.
So Phillips 66, one of the biggest pipeline,
Okay.
oil and gas pipeline companies
Yeah.
in North America.
Yeah.
That's where their operations center is.
Okay. Interesting.
ConocoPhillips is also another one that is based in, or like a good portion of their operations
Yeah.
is controlled out of
Out there
Bartlesville.
too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So this little town of 50,000 people, like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't even really know why
I was gonna ask, like,
they are situated there. I think
Yeah.
Phillips 66 actually started
okay.
there. I think their first oil well is in Bartlesville.
Okay.
And so that's kind of started, and then ConocoPhillips and Phillips 66 were one entity at one time, and then
Okay.
broke apart. Anyway, this town of 50,000 people is like, it's like you're just so quintessential, stereotypical, like Midwest
Oh, really?
American town.
Really?
It's super clean.
Yeah.
Everyone's super friendly.
Yeah. It sounds like if you're moving there, you're moving into an infrastructure of sorts.
Oh yeah, like I mean, it would almost like wouldn't surprise you if it was like run by like a cult or something, you know?
It's that tightly cohesive, eh?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's just the oddest thing. Super nice towns.
Noted.
So yeah, and then home on Friday. So
How often do you get to travel, Tom?
only a handful of times a year, I would say.
So enough that it's not too overbearing. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to travel a lot.
Yeah.
For work.
Okay.
But yeah, it's drastically reduced, which is nice. I like being home.
Totally fair. Especially when there's things at home to come to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I often wonder, Tom, about if it wouldn't be helpful to have like fine print in most job options. Let's say this job, here's the perks, but here's also the cons as well too that you'd have to like reference. Because I know, even growing up once upon a time, you know, the general sentiment was, what an amazing thing to travel for work, and you get to eat out all the time, and you get to, you know, like do all the fun things travel can afford. But what they don't tell you is how old it gets quickly, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Particularly when if you're traveling on your own, and that used to be a lot of my travel. It was by myself. I mean, you see some cool places, and you know, it's cool. It was great in my 20s, but definitely, you know, it gets old, and then like, I don't know, and then you can't even plan or schedule your like life and then being at home.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
So,
I'm guessing you're a dad.
Pardon?
I'm guessing you're a dad.
No children. Just the wife and 2 dogs.
Okay.
2 very high energy dogs.
Did you know that going in?
The dogs were so high energy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We have miniature Australian Shepherds.
Oh wow! Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah. So that was no secret. No, they're awesome.
Yeah.
Like they're so smart. Like too smart for their own good, I would say.
Gotcha.
They're awesome.
And in fact,
that's what keeps us busy.
I see.
How about yourself? Are you a father?
I am a dad. 3 times over.
3 kids? Awesome.
3 times, yeah.
What's the boys, girls?
So I have 2 girls who sandwich their brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they team up on him?
No, you know, it's actually the younger. No, let me think here. The older one is like definitely that older sibling mindset, you know, so above the fray, you know, doesn't get as involved, keeps to her own unique interests. The younger 2 are the ones who share a lot more of the common interests. They fight like
Cats and dogs.
often, right?
How old?
So they're 13, 11, and 10.
13, 11, and 10. Okay. All pretty close to close in age.
Yeah. I just have to keep remembering to add a year on every year. But yeah, we're still at 13, 11, 10.
Yeah. What year is it? Yeah. Oh man, awesome.
I'm the dad that struggles to remember when their birth dates are. And yeah. And funny thing enough, I've got 3, well, I'm the eldest of 6 kids in my family.
Wow. Okay.
And the younger 3 were born here in Canada. They're significantly younger than I am.
Okay.
And their gender sequence is similar to my younger, to my 3 kids.
Oh, to your kids. So it's.
So watching my younger siblings growing up was something, you know, like stellar and wonderful experience. Now seeing them as adults and kind of venturing into life, it's been a lot of fun. But then seeing my own kids growing up now, there's a sense of deja vu there. It's like,
no kidding.
I've been here before. I've seen this whole thing happening already, right? And in addition to that, the interesting and somewhat humorous point is that I keep calling my siblings by my kids' names.
Oh no.
And my kids by my siblings' names. It's just so interchangeable. It's just like,
oh, that's funny.
Oh my goodness. I think it's funny, but
they're
well, I mean, they're very easygoing with me, but yeah. It's it's kind of funny. I think they're just used to it. They're like, this is that. Yeah.
So, how old are your siblings right now?
Well, this year I am double the age of my baby sister.
Wow. Okay.
Take a guess how old she is.
Oh boy. 20?
20? Okay, you're doing really well. I'm impressed. She's 22.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's 22, and the other 2, oh my goodness, one is 30, one is 28. Okay. It does fly? Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
That's funny.
Yeah. Are you an original here in Calgary?
I'm originally from Medicine Hat,
Oh, okay.
but I mean, I'm in Calgary 25 years now.
Yeah. It's home.
Yeah, but it's definitely home now.
And was it work that brought you here initially, or just a desire to get to a bigger setting?
School and a bigger city.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After graduation, high school graduation in Medicine Hat, it was time to leave.
I was gonna say.
It's in a very nice town.
Yeah.
I mean, great place for, people raising families. But opportunities are pretty
Slim.
limited.
Oh,
It's just in the middle of nowhere.
Gotcha.
And I'm a mountain guy. I love the outdoors and the mountains. So,
How often do you get into the mountains?
we much less. It seems like in the winter, just so busy with work.
Yeah.
But summer, we go camping a lot.
Okay.
We try to get out camping as much as possible. I love mountain bike riding, hiking. So yeah, what's nice about being like in our area.
Yeah.
We live in Woodbine. It's
Yeah.
just so accessible to get
Fish.
west.
Oh,
You know.
I know. Especially with the Stony Trail all completed now.
Yeah, with Stony Trail there, it's just
Hop onto it.
It's so quick
Yeah.
to get out of town and
Yeah.
head west.
Do you usually head out by way of Bright Creek or by way of like Highway 1?
We're usually like 22X.
Okay.
So, yeah. And
Gotcha.
then through Bright Creek. I mean, depending on what we're doing, we do
Yeah.
spend a lot of time in that Bright Creek area,
Okay.
and just sort of on the east side of the mountains there, Kananaskis.
The offerings we have are pretty stellar around here
Yeah.
for a variety, right?
Yeah.
Do you make use of the app All Trails?
No, you know what? That's an app I don't use. My dad uses it.
Okay.
I know it's pretty popular, though.
Yeah. But for you, is it just kind of memory work and you're like, oh,
Yeah, I think
this-
we kind of hit some regular trails.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you definitely enjoy the camping.
Yes.
What would you say to folks who say, what did they say? Something like, why should I pay to like sleep outside in discomfort?
I know. The running joke is
Yeah.
like, camping is paying a fortune to live like you're homeless.
Words can be powerful in the picture they evoke, right?
Oh, that's so funny. I know. I know the discomfort of it, and
Okay,
I
so
don't know. There's just something about freedom of just being outdoors, sitting around a fire at night.
yeah.
We did a few years back. We did upgrade to buying a trailer. My wife was starting to refuse to, as she says, sleep on the ground.
Fair.
So we did buy a trailer.
I was gonna say
Actually, it's been amazing.
okay.
It's
Game changer.
It just
So you tow it in,
yeah.
park it, you
Yeah.
guys go.
Yep. Well, this year we have set up. We now are getting a seasonal or like a permanent camp spot
Okay.
down at Lake Koocanusa.
Oh, where's that?
It's about half an hour west of Fernie.
Okay. Right in the beauty there.
Pardon?
Right in the beauty there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fernie's it.
It's it's nice down there. So actually we ended up there because my brother-in-law and his
Yeah.
wife got a spot
Okay.
down in this campground.
Gotcha. So you just interchange time frames, or you also coincide sometimes?
Pardon?
Do you coincide at times, or do you just interchange the spot?
Oh, we both have our own spots.
Oh, you do?
Yes,
There you are. Okay,
We
okay.
got our own. It's a popular spot. So we were surprised to get it
Yeah.
this year because the campground is a small campground. It's a private
Okay.
campground.
Yeah.
August.
Yeah.
And some spots opened up
Nice.
December.
Okay.
Some people were deciding to leave, and so
Yeah.
a spot came up, and yeah, we jumped on it. So
So this will be your first time this summer taking up those spaces.
yes,
Nice.
yeah. So
Very cool.
yeah, I look forward to it.
Something-
I look forward to not hitching up and towing that damn trailer every trip.
That's a lot of work, eh?
It's a lot of work, yeah.
So would you get rid of the trailer then?
No.
No, you'll still hang on to it forever.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. The spot, like the campsite, like we'll have a dedicated campsite that we leave the trailer on
Oh, I
all year
see.
round.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's got hookups for power and water.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a mobile, like a mini cabin at that point.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay.
So yeah, it's
I used to live out of my tent for many years in the summer
nice.
when I used to be a tree planter once upon a time.
Oh, okay.
So camping, quite familiar with that setting. Yes.
I would. Yes, that's roughing it too, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Would that be a lot out in BC?
Yes, BC and even Alberta for our summer plans as well too.
Oh, okay.
Alberta plans were interesting for the summer plans because we'd often hit the rainy season, and that'd be like rain for weeks, and oh yeah, that was fun.
And in a tent, yeah, because
In
I'm
a
sure
tent.
you're probably out there for pretty much all summer,
Oh,
right?
basically, absolutely. So you want to find decent gear, right? So I thought I was thinking in advance when I first started, and I got a really good quality tent that lasted me for quite a few years, and it was decent quality in that. Whereas sometimes you'd be out there and we'd have a snowfall, for example,
Mhm.
and the weight of the snow would just collapse many tents
I
because
have-
we've had some
I have woken
experience.
up to that scenario. Yes, yep, familiar. Yep.
So mine was decent enough that it always held really well.
Okay.
However, I thought I was thinking ahead of the curve when I first got it, and I was just naive, but I was like, I need enough room for me and my gear, so 2-man sounds plenty.
Oh,
I should have definitely gone for at least 6-man,
yeah.
space if you're living out of it, right? So like for all those years I made it work, and it was sturdy, like I say, good quality, yet it was it was
Little tight.
space efficient was the name. So something else that I got that was a game changer though was I got a cot.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant investment. And this
Instead of an air mattress.
exactly.
or-
So
yeah.
this cot I was able to it was just the most compact thing I've ever had. So light, and yet it was sturdy. I was able to set it up, and then what that did is it got me off the ground, off
Yes.
the cold, right? And that was comfortable. But in addition to that, I also had my gear underneath it, so I was able to still have all that space on half the tent.
Oh, yeah, good call.
No,
I
just-
suppose, eh?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I just got used to changing in a small space, mind you, but no, it was just it really worked well that way. So that made it worthwhile.
Smart move. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. When you were out there, are you having to tear down and set up and move your camp or tent, or when you go out there, you are pretty set up in an area?
So we set up for a good few weeks.
Yeah.
So we go by contracts, and contracts have a whole bunch of little pieces that we have to get done, right? Little pieces as in blocks, and I mean some blocks were large, some blocks were small, but we're basically there for a few weeks till the camp gets all the contract done, and so we kind of pivot from the home base of wherever we're camped to all the little satellite spots that we need to go to. So every morning we're waking up, driving us to a different location, finishing the job, however long that takes, a few days, and then on to the next block, and we consolidate and get all that contract done, for example.
I see.
And then we do a massive camp move. So we probably do about 3 or 4 camp moves a summer.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Once a month-ish
yeah,
kind
so
of
it's
thing.
not like
yeah.
we're taking down and setting up every second day kind of thing. It's more
Right.
stable than you might think.
And how many people would there be kind of as part of that?
So a typical camp, you could have anywhere from 4 to 12 different crews on one in one camp, and that's probably 5 to 8 members per crew kind of thing.
Oh wow! So
Yeah.
those camps could be quite large.
They can be, absolutely. It depends. So which company you're talking about. So there's the main companies that do a lot of hiring, and so they may have larger camps, right? And then there's the smaller, more niche camps that are harder to get into, but they're by invitation only, if you will, and they're smaller, but they're really potent in the expertise that they have, for example.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like as you get, I guess, just more experience.
So the
They may be chosen to do these, like, these niche special.
Exactly. The bigger camps are, they do a lot more, they're open to a lot more new hires,
Mm-hmm.
right? They typically, because they're larger, can go for cheaper prices to get the contracts, which again translates to those who are working in those camps who don't get as much, because it's just larger operation, more infrastructure, more, administration, so on like that. So bigger camps, they're worthwhile for those who are getting into it. But eventually, as you become more proficient, you start being able to qualify for smaller camps.
Right. Yeah.
Whereby you're able to have the option of better prices for contracts that they're bidding on. They have more of a brand name, it's more exclusive to get into those camps.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so those camps would not be interested in hiring like brand new rookies, because they have a name to keep, and so they're looking at the quality of what they're bringing in, for example.
Wow, I would have never known that.
There's a
kind of
whole
this
world, I
operation
know.
world to it.
Yeah.
I suppose that makes sense. That's cool.
It's quite an experience to work in that zone. There's a significant portion of it that is definitely physical. So like you're putting a lot of, like you're
You're
going to probably like minimum 4, but for sure 8, no problem, liters of water a day kind of thing. So
middle of summer, it must be just cooking hot out there.
So you don't want to shortchange on that. A huge part, like I say, in addition to the physical, is also the psychological. And the psychological comes in many forms, from having a rough day. You've got your goals you're trying to aim for, but yet those goals are being hampered by so many elements, from the quality of the land that you're planting in, because they have specific specs of what they're looking for in the trees that you plant. So you better plant good trees. Otherwise, you're going to have to go and do what they call the dreaded replants. Replants is one of those most discouraging experiences where, you try to have a good spirit about it, but when you plant bad trees, when the checker comes around and finds poor quality on the trees that you're planting, and it's not like planters are trying to do that on purpose for the most part. Sometimes you just get in the groove and you just haven't been watching the quality, and so they might find some consistent patterns of quality that are lacking, and so that's when they'll come around and let you know you've got some quality issues and you have to go back and take them out and replant them again, which means you're not making any money. Well, you're making half the money now, and it's just really like time consuming, because like finding each tree and then fixing all those issues, and once you're planting like thousands of trees, like that's quite a bit to go back to and re-attend to, right?
And because you're paid like per tree.
Per tree.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely, it's piecework, right?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. To have to go, and that would be like even like the quality of the plant itself.
Yeah.
Is no good.
Well, the quality of the plant is actually pretty good, because that's how they arrive. If there's quality in the plant that you're in the saplings that you're planting, then it's an issue with the nursery. So they cover their bases to make sure.
So they check. Okay, they quality control kind of before.
Oh, for sure.
I got you.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense, because they're also shipping them or having to transport them, which is, I'm sure, quite expensive. So you start shipping duds,
like
DOAs, and
in the spring they're usually frozen. But by summer we're into the live saplings, which haven't frozen because they're keeping them growing, and so there's different ways that you handle those two different saplings and the plugs that they come in and so on.
Oh, okay.
You're making sure you're whole, you're medium, the context in which you're putting that plug root into the ground. Like there's just a lot of elements that you are picking up skills over time. Eventually, it just gets streamlined, and with efficiency that you've planted good trees, and all planters are highly encouraged. Actually, it's almost like a necessity that you're doing your own quality checks. Because if you catch your own mistakes, then you're able to like
For
adjust
sure.
and fix
Yeah.
them all on the fly, right? And also, we're talking about density of trees, so they have specific densities of how much they want to go into land. Otherwise, you can just stand in the same spot and plant a whole bunch, right?
Clump them all just together, being like, I'm done.
Exactly, yeah. So you're taking plots to make sure that you have the right density in there. And then on top of all those specs that you're having to attend to, you're also considering the elements from sunny heat to like cold and miserable, and then you're also taking into account the landscape, what kind of things are on the land.
Okay.
There's a couple of things like sting and nettle you've probably heard of.
Yep.
Devil's Club, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that one.
No.
Devil's Club is this really tenacious plant. It is, it has like a stiffness to it, and it comes out kind of like in a claw, kind of, and it's covered in thorns.
Oh.
And basically, you just pass right by it, and it'll just kind of even barely brush it. It'll just swing out, and then just come back and smack you, you know. And those thorns are like the only remedy I've found to working in a zone that has devil's claw is wearing thick rubber rain gear.
Oh.
It can't penetrate through that, but wearing that in the heat is just
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Does not breathe.
no, it
Just-
doesn't. So you're gonna sweat like a hog. But if you want to like get through that stuff, that's what you need in that setting. For
Yeah.
example, right? Oh, it's terrible. So many things, and then of course you've got your bears that you have to be on the lookout for. You have the bugs. The bugs are probably one of the most psychologically affecting things.
Oh,
So you're looking at
totally agree.
not just the one or two odd bugs that are trying to get at your blood. You're talking about like mayhem of thousands and thousands, just the humming around your ears.
They're relentless.
Absolutely.
Just relentless.
You're familiar with this.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. When they know they have the upper hand and they don't have to worry, like the way I combated it, like let me tell you, the guys back then, in my day, they would usually acquire this insect repellent that was illegal here.
Was it high potent DEET?
You got it.
My wife and I, we spent a year in New Zealand,
Yes.
and they had like the sandflies, the little black ones were just in swarms of them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they would actually sell. It was like 90% plus DEET.
Yeah. We're talking like 95.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the application of that stuff is at your own risk, if you will. You know, you don't know how you're going to affect
They
your
have
offspring.
Warning labels
Yes.
saying like, do not touch plastic afterwards, and like, but man, that stuff works.
It
great.
works. And you also have to watch out for deep poisoning. I don't know if you ever got deep poisoning.
No.
So for the first few years, I refused to touch the stuff. So my remedy against it was to wear layers. I'd wear like 3, 4, 5 layers of like sweaters, balaclavas. My nickname out there was Bin Laden.
Jeez.
That's all you can see was my eyes, but I was done, right? They're like, aren't you hot? I'm like, yeah, aren't you? They're like, yeah. I'm like, so yeah, point taken, right? But then I think my third season, I got heat stroke.
Oh, yeah.
And so after that experience, I started lessening the layers and just applying the DEET to the outer layer, and just wearing maybe 1 or 2 layers at the most.
Okay.
The one time, however, the DEET kind of went through the fabric onto my forehead, and I got deep poisoning and a few scars there for sure at that time. Yeah, so it's pretty serious stuff. But eventually, I kind of caved a little bit, as most do.
Yeah.
Say, all right, let's do this.
Yeah, let's see, man. Yeah, because the bugs are just.
Yep.
They drive you crazy.
Yep.
Like they drive you.
Yes, it's quite something.
Like they're worse than wind.
Wind is lovely. When it comes to it, it's refreshing. But oh yeah. So that was once upon a time.
Yeah.
All that to say, yeah, camping. I mean, I enjoy it.
You're probably over it.
No, I'm not. I wouldn't say over it because now camping is a different setting, right? A different context. I'm not having to wake up and going and slogging all day. It's got a different feel to it. I just don't do it as often as I once used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. this year I'm gonna go to Burning Man.
Oh, really? Cool.
And yeah, I've been involved in the community here for some time, but they want a burner. We call Burning Man attendees burners. This one burner has developed this, it's almost like a pod. It's a reflective pod, almost dome-like in structure, and it's quite rigid and like well put together. It's quite expensive, but in essence, it keeps the interior cool in the heat.
Okay.
Because of the reflective material, like quite a few degrees. And so I'm looking at investing in that.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really, really cool.
Was it last year or the year before
the
that
year
it
before?
rained?
That's the big,
That it rained, yeah. And oh my God, you see the pictures
Yeah.
of like people in their campers,
Yeah.
everyone just stuck in the mud,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, that would have been a nightmare.
I'm sure. I mean, the media as often it highlights the rough proportions. I had quite a few friends who went there, and they were just painting a different picture from their setting again, because Burning Man attendees are quite a different breed, like especially those who are in it for the principles that brought them there in the first place. And so they were. I mean, it was challenging to be certain, but they also definitely painted a different picture of how like amazing the community was, even while they went through the unexpecteds together. You know, I thought that was really neat.
Oh, I bet the community aspect to it and everyone helping each other would have been
Amazing, right?
really cool.
Yeah, especially for those who are, in it for conviction-driven principles.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's gotten quite big.
Yeah, it's how many people go? It's
What, 80,000 now? Yeah, it's quite
it's
extensive.
like its own city.
It is, literally. It's the fourth largest city in Nevada when it is there for 10 days, right? It's amazing what they put together, from an airstrip to like a hospital, a functioning post office, like so many elements, right?
That's wild.
I know. Yeah, it's going to be quite the experience this year.
Cool.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I bet.
Before we get to our final destination, I got a question for you. And by the way, 2 questions. United, we said, right?
Yes.
Cool. And then secondly, one of the things I love doing when I am not Ubering, because this is my primary gig, I love creating content online just by way of amazing conversations. I never do that unless I have consent, which I love looking for the enthusiastic yes, and also honoring a no. Would you be open to like sharing our conversation, being open for that on my platform?
Sure.
You would be off camera, but
Okay.
it would be like your voice and everything on there. And I like making sure that this is something that you have access to, knowing that you can say no, because not everyone's geared for like being online.
Fair point. Yeah, no problem. Yeah,
Awesome.
that's cool.
I appreciate it.
So is this on like Instagram or
On
like,
YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, it's under my name, Biniam Asris.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look you up.
I appreciate
Cool.
that.
That's
Tom,
neat.
I had such a great time with you.
Thanks.
For
Yeah, appreciate
4
the ride.
o'clock in the morning.
I know. This is
It was a lot of
It's
fun,
early.
though. I appreciate you. Let me help you grab your bag here.